Well, hello everybody. This is JDL Productions, and as you probably read by the title of this video, and as you can see by looking in the frame here, this is going to be something that I have not done in a few years now. It's been since 2019, I believe, since I last did it. Um, and that is going to be an updated fire alarm collection video. So, as you can see, here are all of my devices. I am just including my initiating devices and my notification appliances. Panel-related stuff will not be included in this video. So yeah, this is essentially just all the alarm devices. And as you can see, if you've watched my last collection video that I made back in 2019, it hasn't necessarily grown tremendously or anything. I mean, it is a little bit bigger than it was then, but I figured I would just give y'all sort of a fresh look at it. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. I don't know what much else there is to say. Now, the way I do have these sorted is pretty similar to how I had my smoke alarms sorted in that video. I have them sorted by brand, and then within each brand, they are sorted by date, or era, at least. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. I'm going to try to pull as many of the pull stations as I can. So, let's just go ahead and get started. And I do have this thing in manual focus mode, so just bear with me. So starting off at the top here, we have my ADT 5060S dual action pull station. Very, very cool. Basically a T-bar knockoff, at least that's what some people consider it to be. Next up, we have Cerberus Pyrotronics. So we've got my HNS horn. I did make a video of this very recently. This is essentially the later version of the Faraday 6120 series horns after they were bought out by Cerberus. And this one, if we look on the back here, uses a D-series mechanism. Next up, we have my Cerberus Pyrotronics MCS17F 3-tone horn strobe. These are pretty cool. I would like to find the version with 8 tones, I believe is how many is on it, which is just essentially uses the same horn as like the Siemens UMMT. But this one is still pretty cool, and it's got that cool little bubble strobe there. At least that's what I call it. Next up, we have a fairly rare pull station. I actually got this from one of my dad's friends, who is a fire alarm technician. He had some spare devices that he lended to me, and the way it pulls is you essentially just lift this little part up here, and then you pull down this handle. It's pretty easy to reset. You just stick a key in there, turn it, and then just push the handle up. And these are pretty interesting because they do actually have a piezo inside of them, except I don't have the piezo powered at the moment. But yeah, they are very weird pull stations, I will say. Next up, we have my Edwards 2708 SPO. This is an older one, an older 270. Let's see if I can kind of make my way over here. Just pulls like that, of course, as they all do. Very, very cool pull station. I do love these. They're classics. Next up, we have my 7577AT Integrity. Another classic unit. I do love these. I love the sound of them. And then we have a 2028AT single gang remote strobe, which is essentially just the single gang remote strobe version of this right here. Then we have my EST EG1RF HDVM Genesis. This is actually one of the much newer Genesis models when Kidda sort of bought out EST. So this did come in a Kidda box when I first got it. Still very cool though. I do love Genesises. They're just classic units. And then we have this weird thing right here. This I bought a couple of years ago. This is a EST GCV or EGCV. I'm actually not sure which one it is. But it is one of their much newer LED devices with these sort of 4 quadrants. They are Very odd looking, but I did buy one. I don't have a bracket for it, so it is a little difficult to test, but yeah, these are very interesting devices. I'm kind of still mixed on them to this day. But yeah, there that is. So, next up, moving on to Federal Signal, which this is the only Federal Signal device I have. It is a 450D horn with a VALS strobe on it, and then this sort of flush plate here. I did used to have a second one of these, but it now belongs to ARAP Official. I believe that's his channel name now. It's either ARAP Productions or ARAP Official. One of those two. Next up, we have this pole station here, probably my favorite pole station I own. This is a Firelight BG6. I got this somewhat recently. These are just very lovely retro pole stations. I do love them, and yeah, this one, like I said, I did get brand new in the box. And then we have its sort of modern day equivalent, or at least one of them, the Firelight BG10. And I guess the most modern day equivalent would probably be the BG12, but I do not have a BG12. Someday I'll get one, when I feel like it. Now we are moving on to Gentex. So we will start off with this right here. This is my slightly uncommon variant of the SHG. This is a SHG 24C. It is a ceiling mount first gen SHG. Very, very cool. And you can see the date on the sticker there. Well, I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of ripped there, but it is dated 1992. At least the two at the end sort of torn off, but yeah, it is dated 1992. Next up, we have a very weird Gentex device. At least I think it's weird. It is an SPK. Where is the full model number? SPK 41575CR. Speaker strobe. This was yet another device that was lended to me by that same friend that gave me the CPG. And yeah, as you can see, it looks like a wheel lock. I thought it was a wheel lock when I first got it, but then I looked at the label and it was a Gentex. I was like, whoa. Yeah, I did not think that they made speaker strobes in this style that were made by Gentex, but they did. And surprisingly, I came to find out this recently, System Sensor made them as well. So yeah, very, very interesting. Next up, we have I did make a video of this one recently. This is a Commander 1. It is an HS241575WR. Kind of a piezo horn. This is, of course, the original Commander. Let's see if I can get it back on the bracket there. There we go. And then we have my very weird Commander 3. This one my dad got for me quite a few years back. Of course, count on my dad to find all the cool shit. This is a GECB 24PWB. This, of course, is not necessarily a fire alarm version of the Commander 3. This one I'm honestly not sure what these are used for. I think they're just like general notification, because typically when I see these, I find them installed next to emergency exits at like hardware stores. Yeah, they're kind of in that vein, but they are very cool. As you can see, it's entirely blue. I'm gonna try to find a fire alarm version of this as well, just like a regular fire alarm version, because I do want one. Even though I have this kind of uncommon version of it. Next up, we have this is actually my very first pole station that I ever got. This is a Hochiki 0600-0145, essentially just an RSGT bar. It used to have a dual action piece for it, but that has pretty much ceased to exist. At least I can't find it. I'm sure it's laying in a bin in my garage somewhere or something. But yeah, very, very cool. It is dated 2011 if you open it up and look on the sticker inside. Next up, we have a few very cool devices, which these three I actually got together. This is an IBM brake glass station. It is a Type 4250 brake glass station. The glass no longer exists, as you can see, but the button is still there. Which essentially, if the front part was still there, which there's like another front part to it, essentially you just kind of punch it with the side of your hand there, and it would press the button in. But since that doesn't exist, you kind of have to manually just press the button. But whatever, it's still a very cool little thing that I own. I actually do own a second one of these. So if anybody wants it for some reason, just hit me up. We'll work something out. And then we have an IBM bell. This is an AC bell, and it is a Type RFV41 or 4015-6A. I kind of forget that model number, but yeah, it is a very cool bell. I do have a second one of these that I am selling, so somebody buy it, please. And then we have this thing right here. This is a 4031-1B. Yes, I do own one of these. I actually have yet to test this thing, and when I do test it, I will be making a video of it. So just stay tuned for when that happens. I don't know why I haven't tested this yet. But it is very, very cool. Of course, it has that just lovely trumpet look to it. I thought these things were so cool when I first saw them, when I first saw New Age Server Alarm System Test 28. Which I think is what a lot of people were introduced to these from. Or through, rather. Next up, so yeah, those are 3 IBM devices. I did get these 3 together, which there were 2 of those and 2 of those. I found them all in a box at a Habitat for Humanity restore, just all together, just sitting there. So that was kind of cool. Next up, we have, moving on to Notifier, which I only have 2 Notifier devices. First up, we have my Notifier M-Heart BNG1RS pole station. Kind of a rare pole station. I've had this one for quite a while too, and it is nearly impossible to pull with one hand. Even with 2 hands, if it's not like mounted on a back box. So I'll just go ahead and open it up for y'all. I think I'm using the right key. Am I using the right key? I think this is the right key. Oh, there we go. So yeah, there's the inside. Essentially, you just pull that piece down. I don't know if this one's dated. I think... I don't know. I don't know if that's a date right there, maybe 1984. But yeah, these are very cool pull stations, kind of nostalgic. I did go to a church that had these, except the ones at my church were the silver versions. So I would like to find one of those as well. But these ones are cool. These ones are actually more rare than the silver versions, which does make them cool. Next up, we have one of these boring things. This is a Notifier FSP851 smoke detector head on a 8710 LP base. This one I also found at the same restore the day that I found all those IBM devices. There were like a giant bin of them. Yeah, these are very common smoke detectors. I've gone to several schools that have had these. So, I mean, I guess it is kind of cool, though, one for the nostalgia factor. Next up, we have this I got pretty recently. This is a Pyrotronics HDC 24 Vibratone horn, essentially a relabeled 450D. I got this thing brand new. It's an amazing, shiny condition. Yeah, and I was looking on eBay. This is actually technically a first generation version of these. The second generation version is actually a relabeled Wheelock 34T, which is very interesting. I might buy one of those at some point. Hopefully they're still available when I do decide to, but yeah, very, very cool. Next up, moving on to one of the big kahunas, Simplex. So we will start off with the Simplex, with my Simplex 4050. This is a beige 4050. This is another one I found, my dad found for me. I don't know what it is. Like, whenever my dad finds fire alarms for me, he always finds cool ones. And yeah, this is just another example of that. It is a 4050. Next up, we have my 2901-9833 horn. I did make a video of this today, behind a 2903-90-101 strobe plate, which these are actually becoming extremely rare now. as I've come to realize. The light version of these, the 9000 one, is actually even more rare. And unfortunately, as you can see, the lens on this thing is kind of broken. I don't know what happened to it. I got this thing quite a few years ago. I was still in elementary school, so I'm sure I did something stupid to it. But yeah, the lens is broken on that. The strobe lens is, unfortunately. But the strobe itself does still work. So yeah. Next up, we have a 2901 9838 horn. I've had this one for quite a while as well. This was like one of my first mechanical horns I ever got. Very, very cool. I don't know how these scratches ended up on it. Once again, I bought this thing when I was in like 5th grade, so I probably did something stupid to it. Next up, this was my most recently acquired Simplex device. This is a 4903 9219 mechanical horn. I do love these 4903s. Absolutely love them. They're classics. I am going to try to find an electronic one of these as well, because I do want one. And then we have this thing. Don't ask how I got this, because my dad got it, and I don't know. But it is a 4906 9127 True Alert Amber Alert Fire Clear combo unit. I don't know, but this thing is very cool. It is addressable, so I can't exactly test it, which is why you guys haven't seen many videos of it, but it is very interesting. It is a very interesting unit. So yeah. Just don't ask. Next up, we have system sensors. So, we will start off with this. This is a 1400 ionization smoke detector. I've had this one for a very long time as well. Also found it at a thrift store, surprisingly. Next up, we have my MA1224D sounder. I'm missing one of the jumpers to it, so that's about 3 tones that I can no longer do on it. Which is very unfortunate, because these things have jumped up in price. There are a few of them on eBay right now, specifically the horn strobe versions, and they're not cheap. I'll just say that. They're not cheap. Next up, we have a Spectralert P2475W. This is another one that I got somewhat recently. It is in white, as you can see. And yeah, this one uses the flathead screw at the top, so I'm pretty sure this one's technically not considered a Spectralert Classic. The ones that are considered Spectralert Classics are the ones with the screw at the top. So, no system sensor elitists, yell at me in my comment section, please. Because I know I would if I called this a classic. Just knowing some of y'all. Next up, we have the Spectralert Classics little brother. This is the Spectralert Advance P2R. This thing is in pretty rough condition. Let's just say a couple of years ago or so, I was not very kind to it. But yeah, it is a Spectralert Advance. It still works. I'm going to try to find a 4-wire version of this at some point, and I'm going to probably sell this one for pretty cheap. And then we have a P2RL, which is, of course, the much later LED L-series version of this, and it does look slightly different. So, yeah, that is about it for system sensor. And then finally, to round out my collection, we have wheel lock. So, first up, we have my wheel lock 7224. I got this quite recently, actually. The strobe on this thing, unfortunately, does not work. I've tried to get it to work, and it just doesn't. The horn does work, though, so I guess it's essentially just a 3424. We will consider it that. And then we have a 34T24 right here. As you can see, it is a 34T. This is not the one that I used to have a long time ago that was converted from a 7002T that, I hate saying it, but I destroyed it, which is very sad because it was my very first fire alarm device that I ever got. I destroyed it, and I pretty much all I had left was the horn, and then I destroyed the horn. So, yeah, I don't exactly let myself live that one down. I'll just say that. But yeah, I would like to find another 7002T. Hopefully one that's not, $1 million, which may be impossible, but whatever. Next up, we have my Wheelock NS. This is one of my #1 childhood alarms. Pretty much half the schools I've got, most of the schools I've gone to have had these. This one is a very early NS. It is a 2415W. This one actually beeps quite a bit slower than some of the newer ones that you're used to. And then we have a Wheelock AS24MCW. This is a newer AS. I've had this one for quite a while as well. I do love these. Once again, another childhood alarm, because most of the schools I've gone to that have used these as their indoor alarms have used these as their outdoor alarms. So yeah, they kind of go hand in hand with each other. And then we have a Wheelock MIZ mini horn. These I do love as well, even though they are kind of dime a dozen. This one does have the code 3 selector on the back. Yeah, this is a newer MIZ. Would like to find one of the older versions that's sort of, I don't know, longer. At least I think they are. Or they're just, I don't know. But this is a later MIZ. And then we have my Wheelock MT24IS CFW. This one is a quite uncommon version of the MT, as it is white and ceiling mount, as you can see. But unfortunately, the strobe no longer works on this thing. It has ceased to be. So yeah. And then finally, to round out this collection, we have my Wheelock HSR. HSR Exceeder. Very, very cool device. I do love these. They're kind of dime a dozen, but I do like them. So, yeah, that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and give you all sort of a large view of it one more time. Let me go ahead and focus. There we go. There are all the devices I own. So, yeah, there they all are. So, yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this video, and, yeah, have a good night.